Hey everybody, and welcome to another Talking Vandals segment. Noah Schmick alongside the voice of the Vandals, Dennis Patchin. And Dennis, we got a lot to talk about. 45-6, a big win to end a 4-game skid for the Vandals against Portland State. Maybe just tell us, what was your biggest takeaways from that game? I mean, 45-6, there's a lot that we could go through, but Joshua Wood being back was the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. Before we get to his individual play, because it seemed to give the team a boost, the entire team a boost, that's probably the most complete game that the Vandals have played all season long. The offense really rolling well. 5 touchdown passes out of the quarterback, 4 by Wood, 6 touchdowns overall. Defense didn't give up a touchdown in that game, even when the second team guys ran against the first team. The punt game was good. It struggled all season long. I mean, they had their 2 longest kickoff returns of the year. They had their 2nd longest punt return of the year. They got 2 picks. They got 2 sacks. They got almost 10 tackles for loss. You'd be hard-pressed. The missed field goal was probably about the only thing you can look at that. And I mean, he even got a celebration penalty when a walk-on got the interception. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Ford in his press conference on Monday said, you know what, we'll let that one go. Okay, they were so excited. So a really complete game. But it also shows you when you have your first-string quarterback back, 100% healthy, what you can do. The other side note to this, and I don't think a lot of people knew this, is Eli Cummings has been battling an injury for a lot of the season. He was 100% healthy. 100 yards receiving, 80 yards plus rushing. I mean, so there was a lot of things, if you're a Vandal fan, to like about this game. But the biggest thing you should take away, a complete game for the first time. Now, what does that do for the last 4 games of the season?
Yeah, exactly. Last 4 games of the season. Nothing to take away. I mean, Portland State, yes, winless on the season. They are struggling with a bunch of things themselves. But Idaho, I think they needed this game, especially get a lot of confidence in themselves. I mean, it was cool to see, I think, in between the 3rd and the 4th quarter, because I was on the sidelines shooting highlights of the game. It was awesome to see they were doing the dancing, the swag surf. It was fun between 3rd and 4th quarters. It looked like this team was having more fun.
Well, that helps when you win.
Yes.
But it was one of the points of emphasis this week for Thomas Ford and his staff. They had a meeting on Sunday after the loss to Eastern Washington. And he told his team, you're not having any fun. You need to have fun. That was a point of emphasis. Let's have some more fun. Let's do some more things. Before the game, which almost nobody saw because the dome wasn't open, the entire team usually comes in from the west end zone and walks to their locker room, but they all walk down the sidelines. This time they gathered in the end zone. They all linked arms and walked together the entire 100 yards of the football field. So there's some things you could tell, you could see that they were trying to do differently than they had done before. Now, the schedule gets a whole lot harder than Northern Colorado, Eastern Washington, and Portland State, with Northern Arizona on Friday, home against Davis, at Northern Arizona, home against Davis, at Sacramento State. 1 loss anywhere along the way, best they can finish is 6-6, and that will knock them out of the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy to look at the Big Sky standings too. I mean, Eastern Washington, they're like solely in that 4th place, and then you got 3 teams that are undefeated in league play with Davis and then the 2 Montana schools. But then, yeah, looking at that rest of that schedule, at least I think Idaho picked the right time to have their most complete game, because it's going to be a sprint to the finish here with these last 4 games.
You'd rather, if you're going to finish 7-5, which is what they would finish if they could win the rest of their games, and the final game is against Idaho State, and that's a home game, so 2 at home, 2 on the road. If you can finish at 7-5, it's way better to end your season on a 5-game winning streak than it would be to have that 3-game losing streak near the end of the season, say you lost 3 out of 4. I think the way it looks now, I think the conference is only going to get 4 teams in the tournament this year. They got 5 last year. Montana, Montana State, flip a coin, one's 1, one's 2. I think Davis will be the 3rd team. Now, if Davis stumbles their toes, I mean, if Idaho beats them, a couple other teams beat them, then they're in the conversation not to be number 3. If Idaho finishes at 7-4, that means they would have beat Sac State. That would give them their 5th loss. They would have beat Davis, which is by far their best win of the year, and they would beat Sacramento State, which would knock them out of the playoffs. Wouldn't it be interesting if both Eastern and Idaho finished at 7-5, and there was only 1 berth for those 2, and Eastern claimed the win? So even if you win 5, I'm not sleeping Saturday night before Selection Sunday with a lot of confidence. But you know what? If you don't win them all, you don't give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, just some of the positives from that Portland State game. I loved that the ball was spread around. 4 touchdown passes in the first half, but it was like you got Noah West-Bronco in on it, Elijah Cummings. We saw Emerson Cortez Menjivar get a touchdown catch. I think Marquand McCraney got a touchdown catch.
You got Jake Cox had one as well.
Yeah, it was really, the ball was spread around in different ways too. We saw the trick play. What was there anything that really stood out? It's just because Joshua Wood was in command of this game. Correct. And they were able to use all their different formations.
Right, and he Portland State's defense really didn't have an answer for him. But it's hard to have an answer when Eli Cummings was doing what Eli Cummings was doing. That screen pass touchdown run, one of the best I've ever seen at the University of Idaho for how many guys in the last 30 yards. I think it was a 60 yard, 54 yards, something like that.
It was like 60 something.
Yeah. The last 30 yards, he made 5 people miss. 5. That's not counting the stuff before, and one of it was the same guy. He missed twice on it. He just wouldn't go down, and I think that epitomized the Vandals feeling good about themselves, and now their focus is on a good Northern Arizona team who's even better at home on a short week, which makes Friday's game, because they play on Halloween. I don't know why anybody plays anything on Halloween, because, I don't know if anybody's gone out into neighborhoods and seen kids trick-or-treating. That's where they get candy from people's houses, or you go to trunk or treat. Why anybody would play on a Halloween, but that's what it is. It's Friday night and Halloween. So
yeah, Friday night, ESPN2, Halloween at 7:30 kick. It's going to be a late night for you. I know you're going to be.
Sorry.
Yeah, you'll be fine though.
I don't have a real job. I can take naps for the rest of the week. I'm good.
I love it. Tell me, Northern Arizona, they've always been towards the top of the conference. They haven't been able to win the conference, but just tell me a little bit about Northern Arizona. What can you expect, whether it's offense, defense? How much prep have you done?
Well, a little bit. Brian Wright is a really good coach. Came from the D2 ranks, was very successful in the D2 ranks. Came into a program where a good friend of mine, Chris Ball, was the head coach, and Chris got him over 500 a couple of times, but couldn't make that next step. They brought Brian Wright in. He went out and brought. He did a lot what Washington State did. He brought guys that he was familiar with, not only from his team, from the league, and went in, and they were way more successful than anybody thought they were going to be in his first year. The quarterback is elusive. He's a good runner. They have skill positions at the receiver, the running back spot. This is a dangerous team. This is a team that I thought at the beginning of the year, I thought 5 teams would get to the playoffs. I thought Davis, the 2 Montanas, Idaho, and I thought Northern Arizona was going to get to the playoffs. I did not think Sac State was going to get to the playoffs. We'll see if that remains to be seen. This is a really good team. They're really good at home, and they're going to cause Idaho's defense some problems.
Well, Idaho's defense, they did look pretty stout against Portland State. I saw Zach Krotzer was in on a bunch of tackles. Isaiah King didn't have to do a whole lot in that game. He still had a bunch of tackles.
They limited his snaps in that game.
Yeah.
He was a little bit banged up. And another guy, Zach Krotzer out of Shadle Park High School. Sam Brown out of Central Valley High School had his best game as an Idaho Vandal. He was everywhere. But again, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. And remember, this is a Portland State offense that in back-to-back weeks had put up 27 points. They went to Eastern and put up 27 3 weeks ago, and had put up 27. They had a bye week in there, and 27 the week before they played. They weren't even close to a touchdown in this game. And one of the things they did, Court Dennison, the defensive coordinator, simplified the game plan. He told us they had 10 base defensive calls for the whole game and 10 base third down defensive calls. That's it. They simplified it. And a lot of times when you have to think before you do, it slows you down. They were playing free and easy. And I think that was part of the reason. You didn't see anybody run past them for a long pass. You didn't see missed tackles. Very impressed with what the defense was able to do. The defense was much more like the one we saw the first game of the year at Washington State than what we saw in some of the games, the second half against San Jose State, Northern Colorado. And that's 2 good games in a row. They only gave up 21 to Eastern. One of those was a field possession thing. So maybe the defense is turning the corner too.
Defense is definitely turning a corner. During the post-game press conference, Coach Thomas Ford Jr., he brought, of course, Joshua Wood, but also Jamel Blenman came. And I asked Blenman, I was like, all right, I'm looking. You guys got off the field so many times on third down. They were 2 of 13 of getting them off the field on third down. It's something's going on. He also said, well, we also did that last game.
They did do that last game.
Yeah. So, I mean, this defense seems to be hitting their stride at the right time, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, they are playing better, and you want to be playing better going into the last month of the season. And I felt bad for Jamel. He did have 1 pick. He should have had another one that hit him in the hands, and he could have walked to the end zone, but he dropped it. So, but they're playing better. They're playing more consistent, and that's one of the things that Thomas Ford said early on in the season. We just need to be more consistent. And he was not only talking about 60 minutes from the offense being more consistent or the defense or the special teams, he was talking about his whole team. We can't have one game where the offense is really good, San Jose State, Northern Colorado, they were good, and have the defense be bad, San Jose State, Northern Colorado, but at the same time we can't have the defense be good, Eastern Washington, Washington State. We got to be more consistent. I think, again, their best game as a team last week. And you know what? People go, oh, well, that's obvious. Joshua Wood is back. I mean, he gives them a moral boost, but they still have to go out and execute. And he's only on the field for half the game. And in fact, it was less than half the game. Vandals went into that game in the top 10 of time of possession, but because their offense was clicking, their first 2 touchdown drives were less than a minute each. The defense actually had to play more than the offense did for the first time this season.
Okay. Well, my last thing I got to ask you, Dennis. We're Halloween night game.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yep.
I know, not to put you on the spot, I know there's a lot of history with the Halloween night games. Might be a shootout, a little spooky here. I also noticed that you've got the beard growing out,
still
too.
Do.
What, any costumes or anything?
Well, I'm not going to Santa Claus. So no,
Okay.
No, and I'm going to go as the Idaho Vandal radio broadcaster. I'll have my logo gear on. No, So, but I did a game on Halloween night at New Mexico State when the Vandals were in the Sun Belt Conference, and it was awful. There was nobody in the stands, and Idaho gave up a bunch of points and lost in overtime, and we were in Las Cruces, New Mexico, so how good can that be in the first place? But it's a weird vibe because more of the people, if you have kids, I don't know why you would be there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? Because how are you going to tell a 10-year-old, sorry, Jimmy, no trick-or-treating. Sorry, Sally, no trick-or-treating. We're going to a football game. No kid. Ask a 10, 11, 12-year-old, 8-year-old, would you rather go house to house for candy or would you rather go to a football game? 98% are going to say, we can go to the football game next week, Mom. We can go to the football game. So it'll be interesting. It's in the Dome in Flagstaff, so weather's not going to be a factor, but it'll be interesting to see just how many people show up and what their enthusiasm level is. It's a 7:30 start, so maybe maybe the kids in Flagstaff will get out early, get their trick-or-treating done, and we'll see. I mean, Thanksgiving is a traditional day where you play football games. I get that. The NBA has made Christmas Day. Now the NFL is. I'm not a real fan of sports on Christmas Day for obvious reasons. But Halloween makes no sense for me. Especially now, if it falls on a Saturday, there isn't anything you can do. Okay. We're going to move a game up to play it on Halloween.
All right, you heard it here first. Dennis Patchin, not a fan of the Halloween night games, but you know what? You'll be calling a game on that Friday night.
I'm also not a fan because it's on a Friday night.
Oh,
and I believe Friday nights are for high school, Saturdays are for college, Sundays are for the NFL. And we have blurred those lines as well. But that's just an old guy.
Well, thanks so much for the wonderful insight there to the Vandals and Halloween night. And we're excited to see what happens, and we'll see you next week.